Hello everybody, it's Mike with the Pick 6 bringing you today's production of the Pick 6 with the AFC South Renaissance. Diving deeper into the misfit mids. The AFC South was thought to be one of the worst divisions in football at the beginning of the season and ended up almost topping the charts and having 3 of their teams included in the playoffs, if not for a crazier division we're going to be going into later. Let's start off with the elephant in the room though. The team you all tried to tell me and the coach was going to top the division, the Titans. The Titans are probably the textbook definition of missing a championship window and holding on to transition pieces for the long term while selling off your long-term players to build around the former. With the descent of King Henry upon us, we must look back at what could have been and what you guys think should have been. It was obvious from the breakout that Derrick Henry had that he was a key piece, and pairing him with Ryan Tannehill's peak season of his career arguably almost netted him a championship. His physical ability, paired with his football IQ and talent, made a situation where the team felt that even if Tannehill plateaued, that the run game would be good enough to carry the offense. And this is obvious and evident when they traded away A.J. Brown, only to replace him a year later with DeAndre Hopkins, another deep threat that was certain to be underutilized in this offense. With the 2023 desperation attempt to find some good news to cling on to for the season, the team sent out rookie quarterback Will Levis into the Wolves and found out just how much teams didn't have to scheme for the long ball with Tannehill at the helm, to the tune of 4 touchdowns in his opening appearance. With the addition of Tyjae Spears, the fall-off of Henry won't be as severe in my opinion, as he has someone to split the carries with that has the ability to catch out of the backfield and take the handoff. Will Levis also showed some promise, if not a bit of recklessness with his own body and spirit, so there's a lot to look forward in that aspect as well. If the team can keep their head coach in town and retain some of the cornerstones on defense like Harold Landry III and Azir Al-Share, they have short-term rebuild status in my opinion and should be ready to rumble in the land of the mids in about a season. I'd like to see them go after Brock Bowers if the Bolts don't take him and he falls really that far. If not, they need to go after a cornerback, so somebody like Kool-Aid McKinstry would be really nice here. Next, we're going to be delving into the ones we're talking about, one of the 3 juggernauts to really swap the expectations around for this division, and that is going to be the Colts. The recent supreme captains of the world in hiring quarterbacks in their twilight years and giving them the keys to a mostly completed roster have finally invested in their first young talent since Andrew Luck. I sure hope they don't... he's off to a good start. This season looked bleak even before the Anthony Richardson injury, with the championship window all but closing up and the term rebuilding being thrown around constantly during the beginning of the year. Gardner Minshew did an excellent job subverting these expectations and jumping into the starting lineup and really proved that he can man that starting quarterback position like he's been saying all these years. But a lot of people were left wondering what if after that last play and Saturday night's game where it's debatable whether or not it should have been caught, but that ball was definitely behind the receiver. Truthfully, it was a team effort of a choke with fingers to point everywhere, but the fact that they surely doubled the amount of expected games won in most people's eyes should serve enough proof that this team will be back to contention for the land of the mids by next year. They have a crazy good double-headed attack in Zach Moss and JT, with good wide receivers as well. They could benefit from a receiving tight end, but I truly think they need to bolster that number 24 ranked defense in the first round of this year's draft. But yet again, subverting the expectations, going from the bottom to second place, and really setting the tone for this video. On to the team with the most control of their fate, the Jags. Coming off a postseason that seemed impossible for them to be in, even in the first place, was the only team that had expectations higher than the Titans in some lists. This was the team that was supposed to take another step up and start fighting with the big dogs, go from winning a few playoff games to winning a championship. I mean, you have a Super Bowl winning head coach, and the team has done a decent enough job to get talent surrounding a supposed quarterback of the ages that just led 4 straight scoring drives in the previous postseason. What could go wrong? The team also added a truly elite deep threat in Calvin Ridley, drafted a second head to go to the running back attack, and bolstered the defense. What could go wrong? I mean, seriously, on paper, they have a 1,000-yard tight end and a 1,000-yard receiver complementing last year's breakout guy in Christian Kirk and a 1,000-yard rusher. This season is as confusing to me looking in as it is for all you Jaguars fans. And from what I can see from watching the games, Trevor Lawrence was not 100% this year. It was very clear. and the team definitely had some trouble finishing games. It really feels like that clutch factor is nowhere to be seen. It also might be something to do with the defense dropping from 12th to 22nd in a year turnaround, but if I'm the GM in Jacksonville, I'm surely scratching my head, wondering what the hell is going on. Because numbers-wise, this roster underperformed 100%. Do you blow part of it up? Do you run it back? It's confusing. It doesn't make any sense. I might just grab Braylon Trice and hope for the best on what the offensive side of the ball does in replicating it itself for this year, and re-signing Ridley if he's not too ludicrous of a deal with what he wants. This team sure likes to have one good year every decade or so, and they cannot string two together. What everybody would have thought would have been about a 10 to 12 win team ends up finishing with 9 wins. It was what was thought to be the best team in the division until this last week, going out. Then there's the Texans. Davis Mills was not their guy, and there were many questions about whether or not they got the guy they wanted in the draft this year. Not to mention the various other holes on this team that's also getting a new head coach on top of everything else. This was supposed to be a lost season for the franchise, and everybody knew it. The doormat, if you will, to better times in the DeMeco Ryans tenure. What the numbers on paper can't tell you, though, is what DeMeco Ryans and co.'s approach to the whole situation meant to the city and how that inspired guys to run through walls for this team. They look like they're energized and want this when they get on the field, and the camaraderie is evident from the stands. They have rookie players stepping into big shoes and looking confident, especially the wide receivers. This team is achieving more than the sum of its parts in every aspect. While they had a spike with a bit of a fall towards the end of the season, they finished, which is more than you can say for the rest of this division. You can tell the staff isn't afraid of mistakes in the face of learning from them. While everything in me says the first round of the playoffs is more of an introduction to the giant influx of raw talent on this roster to sink their nerves to the environment, regardless of the outcome, and they should be happy of the result, something in me, possibly the Chargers fan, thinks they might be getting hot at the right time. Playoffs teams are going to attack CJ Stroud and make him feel the pressure, though, which during the season was a chink in his armor. So if anything, this season was an incredible tone setter, and I'm headed to grab Jeremiah Trotter and maybe a tackle to replace Tunsil in the draft. This team has the potential to be around for a while and has turned their fate from the bottom to the absolute top of this division. Well, there you have it, everybody. What was supposed to be one of the worst divisions in football this year ended up being one of the better destinations for rookie coach and player talent success and results, coming in second overall for winning percentage behind the northern counterparts, who we'll be doing a video on next week. Overall, this division has literally been turned upside down from last year. What was your most surprising moment of the season, and what was your most surprising team out of this division for you? What team would you say needs to blow it up and start all over? In my opinion, it's none of them. Until next time,